just did something at the Australian Open that has the entire tennis world scrambling to check the history books. This wasn't just another routine victory. This was a performance that put her in elite company with some of the biggest names in the sport. The numbers behind this win are absolutely wild, and most people have no idea just how historic this really is. Before we break down these insane records, drop a comment and tell me, how many Grand Slams do you think Coco Gauff will win by the time her career? Gauff absolutely demolished Olga Danilovic in the second round of the 2026 Australian Open, winning 6-2, 6-2 in a match that lasted barely over an hour. But here's the thing. This wasn't just another win. This victory pushed Gauff into record territory in multiple categories, and honestly, the way some of these stats are being glossed over is kind of ridiculous. So let's break down exactly what just happened and why it's a way bigger deal than people are giving her credit for. First off, with this win over Danilovic, Gauff secured her 250th career WTA victory. 250 wins. At 21 years and 311 days old. That makes her the youngest player to hit this milestone since Caroline Wozniacki did it back in 2011 at 20 years and 316 days. So Gauff missed Wozniacki's record by literally 5 days. 5 days. That's how close she came to being the absolute youngest in over a decade to reach this mark. But let's put this in perspective. Wozniacki went on to become world number 1 and won the Australian Open. She had an incredible career, and Gauff is tracking right alongside her at the same age. Actually, if you want to get technical, Gauff already has a Grand Slam title that Wozniacki didn't have at this point in her career. So yeah, the comparisons are flattering, but Gauff might actually be on an even better trajectory. Now, 250 wins might not sound earth-shattering to casual fans, but in the world of professional tennis, that's a massive achievement. You're talking about beating the best players in the world over and over again, across multiple years and multiple surfaces. This isn't some stat you rack up by beating weak opponents at small tournaments. Gauff has been going toe-to-toe with top 10 players consistently, and she's been winning. That's the difference between being good and being elite. But wait, there's more. Because apparently one record wasn't enough for Gauff. She also extended her absolutely ridiculous Grand Slam second-round streak. Here's the stat that should be making way more headlines than it is. Gauff has not lost a second-round match at a Grand Slam since 2022. Let me repeat that. She hasn't lost in the second round of a major in over 3 years. Her current streak? 14 straight wins in the second round. That puts her in some seriously elite company. The only other active players with a streak like this are Iga Świątek, Aryna Sabalenka, and Alina Svitolina. Those are 3 of the absolute best players in the world right now, and Gauff is right there with them. Actually, when you look at the numbers, Gauff's consistency in the early rounds of Grand Slams is borderline absurd. She doesn't have those random upset losses that plague even the best players. She shows up, does her job, and moves on to the next round. And honestly, that kind of consistency is rarer than people think. Tennis is a sport where anyone can beat anyone on a given day. Upsets happen all the time, especially in the early rounds of Grand Slams when players are still finding their rhythm. But Gauff has completely eliminated that variable from her game. She doesn't lose to players she's supposed to beat. That might sound like a basic requirement for being a top player, but trust me, plenty of elite players have failed to do exactly that.
We've seen already in your first 2 matches here that you're adding in some new tools. We're starting to see the drop shot a little bit more. Is that something that we're going to see in 2026, Coco? Maybe something you worked on in the offseason to add a new dimension to your game?
I don't know, we'll do 2 minutes at the end of practice with them, and then honestly the drop shot, it's always a bad idea in my head, and then I make it and I'm like, oh, okay, that was good. I saw Carlos yesterday and I was like, I'm trying to drop shot like him. In my first match I won 7 drop shot points, which I don't think I've ever done.
The match itself was basically a masterclass in efficiency. Gauff won the first 5 games of the match in just 22 minutes. 22 minutes. She came out firing and didn't give Danilovic even a sliver of hope. The final score was 6-2, 6-2, and the whole thing was over in about 77 minutes. That's barely enough time to watch an episode of your favorite TV show, and Gauff just dismantled an opponent ranked 69 in the world. Her return game was particularly nasty. She won 75% of second serve return points, which is just ridiculous. For context, that means 3 out of every 4 times Danilovic hit a second serve, Gauff was winning the point. That's not just good, that's suffocating. When you're getting broken that consistently on your second serve, you start playing scared. You start missing first serves because you're overthinking. And that's exactly what happened to Danilovic. Gauff broke her down mentally and physically in less than an hour and a half. But here's where it gets even more insane. With this win, Gauff also reached 75 total victories at Grand Slam tournaments. 75 Grand Slam wins before turning 22 years old. Since the year 2000, only 4 players have reached 75 major wins at or before the age of 21. 4, that's it. And Gauff is one of them. To put that in perspective, we're talking about players who competed during an era that included Serena Williams, Maria Sharapova, Venus Williams, and a bunch of other all-time greats. And even in that ridiculously competitive environment, only 4 players managed to rack up 75 Grand Slam wins this young. Gauff is now part of that exclusive club. And yet somehow, this achievement feels like it's flying under the radar. The craziest part? Gauff is still getting better. This isn't her peak. She's 21 years old. Her serve is improving. Her court coverage is elite. Her mental game is getting sharper every tournament. All of those little improvements add up, and they're the reason why she's not just winning, she's dominating. When you watch her play, you can see that she's not satisfied with just being good. She wants to be the best, and she's putting in the work to get there. Now let's talk about what this means for the rest of the tournament. Gauff is through to the 3rd round where she'll face fellow American Hailey Baptiste. On paper, this should be a straightforward win for Gauff. Baptiste is ranked 70th in the world, and while she's obviously a talented player, you don't get to the 3rd round of a Grand Slam without being good. She's going up against someone who is absolutely locked in right now. Gauff's projected path through the rest of the tournament is brutal. But honestly, that's exactly where she thrives. If she gets past Baptiste, she could face Karolina Muchova in the 4th round. Muchova is ranked 19th and is capable of beating anyone when she's healthy and playing well. But Gauff has faced tough opponents before and come out on top. Her head-to-head record against top 20 players speaks for itself. If she makes it to the quarterfinals, she could be looking at Mira Andreeva or Aryna Sabalenka. Both are incredibly tough competitors. Andreeva is one of the rising stars on the tour, and Svitolina is a former top 5 player who has been to the semifinals of multiple Grand Slams. Neither of those matches would be easy, but Gauff has proven time and time again that she can handle pressure situations. And then there's the potential semifinal matchup with Aryna Sabalenka. Sabalenka is the defending champion at the Australian Open and is playing with insane confidence right now. A match between Gauff and Sabalenka would be absolutely electric. Both players are aggressive baseliners who can hit the cover off the ball. Both have elite movement and incredible mental toughness. That's the kind of match that could easily be the best of the tournament, regardless of what happens in the final. Speaking of the final, if Gauff makes it that far, she'd likely be facing Iga Świątek. Their head-to-head record isn't great for Gauff. She's 5-11 against Świątek, but that doesn't mean she can't win. Świątek is obviously one of the best players in the world, but Gauff has taken sets off her before and has come close in several of their matches. Plus, Grand Slam finals are a different beast. The pressure is immense, and whoever handles it better usually comes out on top. Gauff has already won a Grand Slam final before, so she knows what it takes. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. The important thing right now is that Gauff is playing some of the best tennis of her career at exactly the right time. The Australian Open is one of the 4 biggest tournaments in tennis, and she's making a statement with every match she plays. The fact that she's setting records and extending historic streaks while doing it just makes it even more impressive. What's really striking about all of this is how consistent Gauff has been since she burst onto the scene as a teenager. She could have been a flash in the pan. She could have been overwhelmed by the pressure and expectations. Instead, she's gotten better every single year. Her 2023 US Open win wasn't a fluke. Her current ranking of number 3 in the world isn't a fluke. And these records she's setting definitely aren't a fluke. This is sustained excellence over multiple years, and that's what separates the good players from the great ones. The tennis world loves to crown the next big thing and then tear them down the second they have a bad tournament. Gauff has dealt with all of that scrutiny and come out stronger on the other side. She's handled the comparisons to Serena and Venus with grace. She's dealt with the pressure of being a young black woman in a predominantly white sport. She's used her platform to speak out on social justice issues while also staying focused on her tennis. That takes a level of maturity that most people twice her age don't have. And honestly, the fact that she's doing all of this at 21 is kind of terrifying for everyone else on the tour. Because if this is what she's capable of now, what's she going to look like at 25? At 30? The scary thought for her competitors is that she's nowhere near her prime yet. She's already one of the best players in the world, and she's still improving. The 14-match second-round streak at Grand Slams is particularly impressive because it shows she's learned how to manage the mental side of the game. Early round matches at Grand Slams are tricky. You're expected to win, but there's always the danger of an upset. The pressure to perform can mess with your head, especially when you're young. But Gauff has completely locked that down. She treats those matches like business transactions. Get in, get the win, get out. No drama, no 5-set thrillers, just clean, efficient victories. Her performance against Danilovic was a perfect example of that approach. She didn't give her opponent any chances. She didn't let the match get close. She came out aggressive, established dominance early, and never let up. That's championship-level tennis, and she's doing it in the second round of a Grand Slam like it's no big deal. The 75 Grand Slam wins milestone is also worth emphasizing because it shows she's been doing this consistently across all 4 majors. It's not like she's great at one tournament and mediocre at the others. She's making deep runs at Wimbledon, the French Open, the US Open, and the Australian Open. That versatility across different surfaces is a hallmark of all-time greats, and Gauff is showing she has that quality. So where does all of this leave us? Well, for one, it leaves us watching one of the most exciting young talents in all of sports continue to prove that she belongs at the top. Gauff isn't just living up to the hype, she's exceeding it. Every tournament, every match, every record she breaks is another piece of evidence that we're watching something special. The Australian Open is far from over, and Gauff still has a lot of work to do if she wants to win the whole thing. But based on what we've seen so far, she's absolutely capable of doing it. Her game is in great shape. Her mental toughness is elite, and her confidence is sky-high after setting multiple records in her first 2 matches. Whether she wins this tournament or not, one thing is clear. Coco Gauff is here to stay. The records will keep coming, the wins will keep piling up, and the rest of the tennis world better get used to it because she's just getting started. So there you have it. Coco Gauff just made history at the Australian Open with multiple records in 1 match, and this is only the beginning of what could be an incredible tournament run. If you want to keep up with all the action, smash that like button and subscribe. Drop a comment and let me know who you think will win the Australian Open this year.